Birthdays don't mean a lot to me. They're a change in the date happen every year, and usually they are only as significant as you give importance to them. But when you live for 50 years, you know something about yourself, you know about something about the world around you. And I thought the most significant thing that I could do is to pass on some of the things that I learned in these 50 years to you. To summarize, I think I had a good life. I had a good life, not a great life, a good life. There are lots of things that I wished would have been different, but on the whole, I think I had a good life. But I haven't lived to fulfill my potential. What I mean, growing up, I was a very smart kid, very happy kid, and smart kid. So one of my nicknames in the when I was in my school was a happy squirrel. So active and happy and smart. I was one of those kids who raises up their hands to every question the teacher asks in every subject, and usually the teachers used to come to me last because they know that I know the answer. When I was in 10th grade, I was placed in the top 0.001% of the entire country in math, that of the kids that took math in 10th grade that year. After my school, when I took the entrance exam to get into medical school, I was in the top 50 out of however many hundreds of thousands of kids that took the test along with me. In medical school, I was always in the top 5% of the kids throughout my school. I got a gold medal in ENT. After my medical school, I thought it would be more interesting to discover medicines rather than prescribe them. So I left the field of medicine. As far as practicing is concerned, I moved to basic research and moved to the US. And the concept of antibodies really fascinated me, and that's what I've been working all these years. I learned a lot during my PhD, but the peak of my professional life, I would say, was at Vanderbilt. I was very productive. I did a lot of cool things. I improved the productivity of the lab 4 5 fold probably. Got to do a lot of cool things. Um, I, with my own hands, isolated some antibodies against a dangerous virus called Zika. So, if pregnant mothers get infected with this virus, the babies are born with small and deformed heads. So, our lab was the first in the world to isolate very potent antibodies to kill this virus. This antibody actually is still being considered developed for as a therapy if and when the Zika virus strikes again. Some of this research was published in Nature, one of the most prestigious science journals in the world. Um, and lots of cool things, and you know the concept of 6 degrees of separation. So um, how many degrees of separation you have from a point A to point B, kind of thing, right? So at Vanderbilt, there were so many diseases where the degree of separation was just one. So we isolated the antibodies, and then they are used for therapy. So that was a very heady feeling, very exciting feeling. So that the period of my life, professional life, when I was at Vanderbilt was really productive. I loved my boss. I loved the environment there. Mom got a job here in LA, and we've been living apart for several years already, and I missed you so much. So I left my job there at Vanderbilt and then moved to LA. Worked for some years at UCLA, and I'm working at a biotech right now. The current job, in the current job, I am designing antibodies for curing cancer. So it's not a bad job. It's a good job. Some of the molecules that I worked on, they are passed the FDA clearance and approved for clinical trials in human beings. So some of these have the possibility of actually being drugs. So what I'm doing is important, but I don't feel like there is a purpose to my job other than that it is a job. This is not where I thought I would be 10, 20 years ago. For one, there are, there are a lot of other classmates of mine who are professionally much, much more successful than I am, both as doctors, both are as software engineers or executives. Um, and even in my own job, as I said, I mean, it's a good job, but it's not a very exciting thing for me. So I want to reflect upon why I think reflect upon why I am in the state I am, and I think you can learn some things from this. So first, I think first thing to be successful in anything that you want to do is identify what exactly it is what you want to do, what exactly it is you want. What do I mean? Everyone wants money, but different people want money for different things. Some people want money so that they don't have to do anything for the rest of their life. Others want money so that they could do lots of things for the rest of their life. Some people want money for the safety it gives. Some people want money for all the risks they can take when they have money. So, even though everyone wants money, the reasons for wanting money are quite different. So, if you can identify what it is that really motivates you and pursue that, you can be successful. My heart was never in treating patients. I, I think if I were to practice medicine, I would have been a very good doctor. I mean, to me, The most important things for a good doctor are willing to listen to people, being empathetic to their pain and suffering. And I think I am very good on both of those aspects, and a willingness to help other people is a requisite. And I think those would have made me a really good doctor, but my heart was never in that. I always have this itch, this desire to do things differently all the time. I mean, as simple thing as making a coffee. So my instinct is, what if I use jaggery instead of sugar? What if I use honey? What if I use coconut sugar, palm sugar, molasses? So I've tried all of these things. A lot of these things don't turn out good. I know that, but I can't stop myself from trying new things. So that's the reason I moved away from practicing medicine, because I thought it would be um, more exciting to discover medicines than to actually be prescribing them. And and uh, uh, and that's the reason I moved into basic science research. And what motivated me was never was earning a lot of money or fame or prestige or social status. So when I was doing my PhD boss was a super tough man to work for. Very, very brilliant man, but still a very difficult man to work with. So I wanted to do an experiment, and he said no. I really loved the idea, and I pleaded with him. I told, I will work on the weekends. I will not disturb anything that you ask me to do. I will do everything you ask me to do. And on top of it, only after that is done, I'll do this experiment. I will not waste resources. I pleaded with him in any way that I could, but he said no. And so at that time, I was on a student visa. We were just married. Um, and being on the student visa meant that if my mentor didn't approve my being there, I would have to leave the country. He threatened me to that he will not support my staying in the country. We were not financially stable. And there were lots of debts at home, and we don't have any savings. In this background, I fought with him. I fought with him that I wanted to do that experiment, and that got to the level of the dean of the university. And the dean of the university came and sat in my meetings with my mentor to protect him, to protect me. I don't think I've ever uh, um, fought with my any other bosses as much as I did. There were times when I thought I was denied a promotion, was denied a pay raise that I actually deserved. All I did was maybe write off an angry email or express my displeasure and then move on. Point of it is, I don't think the going up in the career ladder and becoming a mid or senior level executive, or doing leading a research program, those are the things that probably never felt to me as exciting as actually doing something. You may not remember this, but sometimes some months ago, so you are volunteering at Kaiser, and one of the days when we were coming back, I told you some of this, and then you mentioned that you love volunteering at the food pantry, and I told it will be good for you if you can identify what exactly at the food pantry is it that you love. Excuse me. Is it the structure? Is it the happiness you see in the people that you are helping? Is it the co-workers? Is it showing off your muscles in front of the people there? So whatever it is, if you know what exactly that you are that motivates you, that and guiding your career towards that will make you both happy and successful. So I believe that you are, and most kids are, most people are go-getters. It is just that what you want to get is the important thing. So getting to the core of what it is that excites you. I love Big Macs. I love the sandwich, but what I really like is the pickles in the sandwich. So that's where I would advise you to think, reflect, and see what it is that excites you most. Another of my traits that probably uh, hinders me a little bit and is related to the first thing that I mentioned is that I get bored very easily. Um, as I said, I want to try lots of different things, and um, I try a thing, I do a thing couple of times, and then I get bored and I want to do something else. Uh, so keeping up with the same analogy of the food I used earlier, I am the kind of guy, you know this, that want to try different kinds of foods. Pizza today, burger tomorrow, uh, sandwich the day after, pasta and another time. So I want to try a variety of foods. But what I've come to learn in this 50 years is that for most careers, if you want to be successful, and most people who are successful have to do the same thing over and over and over and uh, get better marginally every time, and that brings them closer to perfection and being successful. So it is like so for most people, once they pick a career, it's very rare that they end up doing completely different things and being successful at it. So it is like once you pick your career, for example, and you if you want to be successful, you do the same thing over and over and over, and then try to get better every time you do this, just like you do your piano practice or practice a sport or anything. So using the same analogy, so if for example, if you most careers are like, if you get a pizza and it is pizza for the rest of the life, there is some variation. You may get a pepperoni pizza today, cheese pizza tomorrow, deep dish pizza, or Domino's pizza, or Costco pizza, whatever. So there can be some variation, but essentially it is the same thing for the rest of your life. And I get bored doing things, so I don't spend enough time or interest in getting to the state of perfection, or having the same interest, doing the same thing. So this is one insight. If I had before and 20 years ago, that being successful means doing the same thing over and over, it would have I would have really thought about moving away from practicing medicine, because even in research, my thought at that time was it would be doing different things every day, and it would be exciting. But it is not that. Even in research, it is the same thing over and over and over, and then trying to move things a little forward. So if I had this insight 20 years ago, I would have probably continued in medicine, uh, and then found my happiness there. Another bad trait. So don't do this. Another bad trait in me is I am a 80 or 90% man. So I have too much. I have a lot of energy getting to 80 or 90%, but finishing up the task, I take forever. This is a bad thing. This is a bad thing. Um, I sometimes I reason myself that, and it is true too. I'm not completely making this up. I say to myself, I have lots of ideas of how to finish and how to make it better. But once I finish the task, then there is not much for me to think about it. So that causes a little bit of delay. But there are lots of times I don't finish the projects, finish the task that I am doing. That's a very bad thing. Don't do this. I don't have as much willpower and the capacity to be determined as I wish I would have. That's a very important trait. Another bad trait probably is I thrive in environments where there is a lot of challenge, there is a lot of novelty, a lot of new things being done, and I wither away if I have to do the same thing again and again, as I said before, right? And this affects my level of enthusiasm, my level of involvement. And I think this is bad because I can't let external factors dictate my mental status. So that is bad. I've seen people who are dedicated and task oriented, irrespective of the environment around them. I'm not one of those, and that's a bad thing. So these are some of the traits, but some of the traits that are related to actually the work. But there are things, the personality traits that also, I think, hindered me. One, I am an introvert. I I talk with people when people talk with me, but I'm never the one to initiate conversations. There are a lot of times when I call people hoping that they won't pick up the phone so that I don't have to talk with them. Not because I don't like talking with them. If they pick up the phone, I talk with them for hours. I mean, and happily. And but the instinct for me to not initiate conversations is a bad thing. I can't remember people's names and events well. And with age, I've been becoming even more bad at remembering events and people. And I'm very bad at networking. Uh, so these things, th- um I lose friends. I lose friends because I don't talk with them over a period of time, and for no particular reason. I just don't talk, and then after a while, it becomes awkward to pick up conversation with with the friends, and then that becomes a vicious circle, and then there are lots of good people. I wish I would be in touch, but I don't. That's a bad thing. I minimize my work. I work very hard. I procrastinate. I work very hard, but I do procrastinate. Sometimes I don't find the motivation in myself to, as I said, finish the task, for example. Um, but when I do work, when I am involved, usually I volunteer to work, but I don't force myself into doing the work. I won't force myself into the scene. I usually prefer to work in the background. There are lots of times when, for example, if there is a function and I volunteer to help set up the stage or do things, I don't like to be in front of the screen doing things, announcing people's names, for example, or doing that sort of thing. I'd much rather be in the background, folding chairs, putting them away, things of that nature. I don't like to sell myself. I don't like to actually, I try to minimize the work I do. I self censor myself. There are lots of times when um, in a group, I know more than what other people are talking about, but I still wait till it is my turn to talk. And if I don't get the turn, I just keep quiet without actually saying anything. There are times I know what to say, but I say, oh, maybe I shouldn't speak, and then I keep quiet. So, one of the reasons I am recording this message now and not, I actually planned on saying all these things on the day of the party, birthday party, but I was in a mood that day, and then I thought, oh, maybe I shouldn't talk about it, and I essentially self-censored myself, even though I've prepared for saying all these things for a couple of months now. So I self censor, and I don't express myself even when I think I can make a difference. I think I have given enough number of negative traits that I have, that I think stopped me from reaching the potential I think I had. And I don't want to go on more about this, but I think you have an idea. What's the reason for listing out all these traits? One, it is to show, it is to tell you that I criticize more. I criticize I criticize myself much more harshly than I ever do criticize you, or I ever say anything to you. I know you sometimes feel bad when I say do things like this or don't do things like this, and then I keep correcting you. I know you feel bad sometimes, but I want to assure you, I criticize myself much more harshly than I ever do. And the reason I tell you, the reason I correct you is I'm aware of all my deficiencies. And I know the consequences of those deficiencies for me. And it kills me to see you suffer for any of the deficiencies that you have, especially the ones that I can clearly see. So there is no malice, there is no intention of being condescending or intention of belittling you when I correct you. It is only out of love. It is only out of love that I tell you what I tell you when I correct you. And please remember this. I criticize myself, and I actually don't even think that this is criticism. I see this as objectively listing out what I see without, irrespective of who it is. It is if it is you or me. I'm just being objective, and that's how you should see it too. I don't think there is anything unique in what I'm doing. I guess pretty much every parent is like that. They criticize themselves more before saying anything to their kids. And I don't think you are unique either. I think every teen rolls their eyes when their parents tell something. Actually, you're a good kid. You're a sweet kid. Yeah, good. But the more important reason for this talk is, so several years ago, maybe 4 5 years ago, I watched a movie called Chichore. It starred Sushant Singh Rajput. The movie is about a kid who feels very stressed because he's not able to meet the expectations. At least he thinks that he's failing to meet the expectations of his parents and the society. And that causes a lot of stress to that kid. I don't remember the whole movie, but the concept of the movie is that. And around the same time, I read a viral Facebook post, which long post, I don't remember the contents, but the thesis of it was that parents show or tell their kids lot of role models for how to be successful, how to go up in career. So parents a lot of times they say, okay, be like her, be like him. So they give models for kids to look up to. But the post said that we don't parents don't train kids in how to manage stress when things don't go the way they want to. That stuck with me. That stuck with me, and I thought I would speak a little about that today. Growing up, I was, I was in a middle class family, so not very rich, not poor. So there were a lot of times I struggled with not being able to afford some things, but wanting to do because others are doing things, others are enjoying things, and for me, and not wanting to put pressure on my parents by asking them for money, but at the same time, not completely being at peace with it. I didn't know how to resolve those feelings. Also, growing up, I wanted to please everyone, which obviously is not possible. And then I used to worry myself to death, thinking, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done it like this, or maybe I should have done it like that. What would people think of me if I do it this way or that way? All nonsensical thoughts, worrying about what people are expecting of me and what would be the correct way and what would people think of me if I don't behave in certain way with them. I've come to realize I've spent a whole lot of time worrying about things, uh, 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 especially when I think that people know my deficiencies. I feel very self-conscious that everyone is watching me, and everyone is laughing at me. So then this used to cause a lot of stress for me, and I didn't have mechanism of how to deal with that stress. After 50 years of living, I've come to realize that that is a colossal waste of time trying to trying to worry about what people are thinking, or but trying to meet others' expectations of you. So you can have two. The expectations are of two kinds. One is self expectation. You expect something of you. You expect something from you, and there is expectation on you from uh, family, friends, teachers, society in general. So you can develop a way to deal with uh, self expectations, especially when you don't meet them. But I can tell you that um, there is absolutely no need to worry about expectations from others. You should worry a little bit about expectations from your family, your close friends, but the rest of the world in general, it's such a waste of time. And I didn't have this knowledge growing up, and it caused me a lot of misery. I've slowly come to realize that this is a waste, because most people don't have time to actually worry about your failures, or about you in general. I listed a lot of negative things that I have, right? But they're not unique. Everyone has these. Everyone has their own unique set of traits, inner demons, gremlins, that um, uh, weaknesses that people are trying to struggle with and cope with. No one spends the time that they think they are spending on you. This is something I've come to realize, and I still can't completely overcome that fear and the stress that causes me. So what the reason for telling you this is, you will have different fears than what I did. You'll have different demons, different gremlins that you are worried of, that you will be worried of. I want you to remember me. I want you to remember this when you are feeling stressed. I am putting myself intentionally in a position of extreme stress that, as I told, if people know my deficiencies, I feel self-conscious, and then people are all looking at me, and I'm doing it intentionally. I'm putting myself in a position that causes me a lot of stress, because this is a way of me telling you that I am with you. I will be with you whenever you are in moments of stress that you can't deal with. You can always think of this and know that I'll be there to support you. And if I can overcome this, overcome my fears, you can too. So I mentioned that, except for parents and family and close friends, you should not really think too much about what uh, everyone else is thinking about you. You should be your own man. Your parents, your family, your close friends, they are your support structure when you need them. But it so happens in life that you will be in situations where that's not the case. Sometimes the ones that are close to you are the ones that cause a lot of stress. You can ignore or avoid people who are not close to you, but the people who are close, you cannot avoid them. And they may be the source for stress sometimes. Sometimes you will be in a situation where you don't want to accept help from your close ones, or you don't like the way they want to help, and sometimes they may not even want to help. So how do you deal with stress in such situations? You have to be self-reliant. 35 years ago, probably, I watched a movie called Anand, Hrishikesh Mukherjee's movie. Rajesh Khanna was the hero. So Anand means happiness. So this guy, Rajesh Khanna, the hero in the movie, he's always happy. He's always making jokes with people. He goes to live with a family who are always squabbling with each other, and then he tries to mend the relationships. He mends the relationships between all of them, and then makes them happy. So what he hides is that he is suffering from a rare form of cancer. I mean, just like the cancers that you get in movies. Um, so no one knows that, but he's always happy. So one of the characters asks him, how can he be so happy all the time? And he says that there are maybe 20, 30, 40 moments of big happinesses in life. So, for example, graduation, getting a job, falling in love, first time, marriage, kids, first job, first promotion, milestones of kids, things of this nature, which are big milestones in life. So, you have maybe 20 or 30 of them that are really happy moments in life. So, this is his explanation. And most people trying to achieve those milestones or trying to focus more on those miss out on lots of small happiness in everyday life. So he says uh, helping others without any expectation of something, some return help, that's a joy, and that you can that kind of joy you can get in everyday events. I mean, help your uh, fellow being, and you can be happy all the time. That was a profound message for me. That had a profound impact on how I see life. The way he said of helping others without expecting anything in return. I I live my life in some sort of that way, but that is too altruistic and too unrealistic to practice. And I kind of developed a philosophy for my own life, um, taking wisdom from those words. Imagine your life as a long, dark path, and on this path you are going alone. Sometimes there are others at various stages of the journey with you. And imagine stadium lights, bright stadium lights on long poles, interspersed at some distances, and think of these as major life events, for example. So you are on this path, so you can see these bright lights at distance. They don't necessarily brighten your path, and they don't show you the path, but you are walking. They don't shine light on your path when you are far away, but you can see them, and then you try to walk towards that light. And when you are close to the light, I mean, it becomes very bright and happy, and then once you start walking away from the light to the next one, this becomes smaller, and it won't contribute to any lighting up of your path, but you can still see them in the background, right? Now imagine looking around you when you're walking. You can see some fireflies. So the fireflies are always there, but you just haven't turned your head to look at them. look at them and say, wow, wow, that's nice. And then you show some interest, then you see more fireflies. The more interest you show, the more fireflies you can see. They're everywhere. So these fireflies, the light is transient, insignificant. It is a brief flash of light. It doesn't light your path. And seeing 10 more fireflies or 10 less fireflies is not going to make much of a change. But the sum total of watching lots of fireflies on your path, that makes the night magical. That's how I see life. Fireflies over bright lights. I'm not saying fireflies, uh, not bright lights. So the bright lights, the milestones. So those are happy moments. We should strive for them. But my way of looking at life is that I prefer fireflies over bright lights. I'll tell some examples of how I use that philosophy in my own life. Earlier, I mentioned that you should reflect on your life, on your thoughts, and uh, um, realize what it is that makes you happy. I mentioned Big Mac and the pickles in the Big Mac, right? So there is a core, the core emotion, core um, that will make you happy. So if you realize, if you think about it, you will come to a realization of what that is for you. It is different for different people, obviously. Once you realize what it is that makes you happy, you will find lots of different ways of getting that happiness. It may not be apparent initially, but if you start thinking about it, you will find lots of ways, lots of mediums where you can get happiness from. What do I mean? So early on, I realized the thing that gives me most happiness, most joy, is expressing an idea creatively, intelligently, beautifully, expressing an idea. So I want to clarify a little difference in terms. So happiness I see as something that is related to physical manifestation of something. So you buy something, you have a thing in your hand, you build a house, you eat something, you see a person. So these are all emotion. Happiness is an emotion that is related to physical manifestation of something. Joy is something that touches your soul. There need not be a physical manifestation of anything to feel joy, bliss. These are higher state of feelings compared to happiness. At least that's how I define them, I see them. So early on, I realized that uh, expressing an idea, either me doing it or if when someone else does that, that makes me that gives me a little flash of joy. I chuckle. Yeah, that's good. That's a nice way of saying it. That's a nice way of doing it. And I realized words are the best medium. I mean, obviously, those are the easiest medium to express an idea. I'm fascinated by people who can express ideas with words. So, I mean, I come to think of it, right? So, pick any famous song, beautifully written song or poem or book. Chances are 95, 99, 100% of the words in the song or book or poem or whatever. But chances are that you may not be able to express the same idea with the same words you share with the other person anywhere as beautifully as the other person did. So, for any other human endeavor, um, music, sports, cooking, doing things, whatever, you have to have something besides. So you have to know something. So, for example, if you want to play music, you have to have knowledge of the chords. If you want to cook, you have to know the knowledge of materials. If you want to play, you have to have certain skills, muscles, stamina. So every other human endeavor, it requires something else. But expressing ideas with words, it doesn't require anything else other than what's already in you, except for that ethereal consciousness and the genius of expressing that idea with the same words, almost the same words that you have. So that fascinates me. So whenever I see a nice play on words, that makes me joyful. And these are not great things actually. So 30 years ago, 30, 40 years ago, I remember a headline from a newspaper. So, uh, prime ministers of India and Pakistan usually go to United Nations General Assembly in October every year, and India and Pakistan, they fight over Kashmir. So they complain about each other usually in the United Nations. So that year, the Prime Minister of India was honored with a state dinner by the President of America. So the newspaper headline then was President and Prime Minister dine while Pakistan PM served wine, WHINE, wine. I remember this bit because this is one of the first times that I thought, wow, that's a nice play on words. And then that essentially captured the whole story. That one sentence captured the whole story. I went to a trekking camp in the Himalaya mountains when I was in ninth grade or something. There was a road sign that said "Better late than never." I thought that was a good way of saying be slow, right? Long time ago, I saw a Lamborghini with a license plate that said GPA 2.3. There are lots of ads for Amul butter that are play on words. So, and these are, I mean, I am telling examples of long time ago. There are examples of wordplay, thousands of things around me. Tweets, cartoons, advertisements, books, newspaper headlines. I like headlines of New York Post, for example. So lots of these things. What's the big deal about these examples that I am mentioning. I mean, these are not famous. No one else probably even noticed them. Insignificant. They give a moment of happiness, but I mean, these are not big deal like a book by Shakespeare or book by another author that you like, right? The fact that these are not big deal, the fact that these are insignificant is the big deal. These are numerous compared to maybe 2 dozen plays Shakespeare wrote. I don't know the number, but I get a lot of happiness and joy from these small momentary things. If I don't see that newspaper headline, I mean, it doesn't matter to me. Seeing one more, one less doesn't matter to me. It is a transient thing. But these having lots of these, finding joy in lots of things that fill my life every day. That's I see as a good thing. As I said, fireflies over bright lights. Another way I apply this philosophy is, so the examples I told are all I see uh, creativity in other people. So how do I do that myself? So I like baking, but I really don't like baking. I see baking as a medium to express an idea. When you turn 13, I baked a cake. I don't remember what it was, but I remember the decoration on the cake. I made it with fondant. It was an emoji of a rolling eyes face saying welcome to teenage. Every March 14th, I try to bake a pie and decorate it such that the decoration has a puzzle, the answer to which is a pie. I don't know if you have seen laptops that say Intel inside, which contain laptops. So for 2020, a happy new year, I baked a cake that said happiness inside, and inside I've made the cake such a way that every slice you cut, you see 2020 in Roman numerals MMXX. So, and I've made dozens of cakes, all where the cake is the message. Cake is the idea I am expressing. It is, I mean, it so happens that this idea can be eaten and enjoyed by others. So that's the reason I make bake more. But that's me expressing an idea in the medium of baking in the form of a cake. And as I said, I mean, I've made dozens of these that are specific, that give a message. And every time I do this, I mean, just planning for these, thinking about this, what's a creative way to do it, and that brings me a lot of joy, more, many times more than the actual eating of it. This is the same thing that I do with woodworking. Planning for an item to do something that expresses an idea. I love a show on Netflix called Blown Away. So the challenge is that so this is a show about blowing glass and making glass sculptures. So the it's like the baking competition. So they are given an idea, and then they have to do a physical manifestation of that idea in the form of a glass sculpture. That show amazes me that they can take something that is so abstract and then give a form to it. So that is expressing an idea creatively. So I love that show. One of the things that I love doing with you is our um, thing of the day. We tell each other at the end of the day. I think we have been doing it for the past 6, 7 years every day. Even though off late we have been slacking a little bit, but that is a very um, happy thing for me. So anything interesting happens to me during the day, I immediately think of you and say, I'll have to tell Aditya this. This is my thing of the day, and just and when I come and talk with you at night before you sleep, just going over my day and thinking of all the interesting things that happened that day, that brings me joy. And doing that with you really makes me happy. I hope we continue this habit for decades to come. So I think I've given some examples of how I practice that philosophy of fireflies over bright lights. So another example. So instead of having a bucket list, um, I have several cup lists. And I know the analogy doesn't work that way, but you get the idea. So I have a list of things. I mean, I have maybe 20, 30 items that I want to bake or decorate, so places I want to go, things I want to do, and these all are things that give me joy. These are insignificant. Others can't see the point of it. I mean, they say, I mean, what's the big deal here? But these are things that I have come to seek joy from. Having the ability to generate joy at will without the help or approval of others. Tiny amounts of joy, tiny, minuscule amounts of joy, that will help you navigate stress when you are alone. That will make you a resilient person. So, this life skill, it makes your life enjoyable, which is good. More power to you. But the skill also helps you when you are down, when you are stressed out, when you are alone. The ability to generate joy at will without help or approval of others by doing insignificant tiny things. So I gave a long lecture about how to find happiness in small things and how to surround yourself with joy as much as you can. But am I happy all the time? Am I joyous all the time? No, far from it. I go through moods, I go through phases just like everyone else. Even even though I have a system worked out how to keep myself happy, I still go through all these phases, sometimes for prolonged periods. You may remember the Mother's Day brunch. this year. It was a good party, everyone had good time. Around that time, I was actually going through major depression. I was not able to manage it myself. I actually went to a couple of counseling sessions. I was on an antidepressant medication for a while. They didn't help. What helped me was thinking about organizing the Mother's Day party. The way I saw it is I wanted to the idea was to show gratitude to the ladies in our life, the ladies that they do so much for us, your mom and others, to make them feel special. So thinking about how best I can do that, and then going over each and every small detail in my mind, so that brought a lot of joy to me. That helped me pass through that phase. So I repeat, this life skill of being, so first identify what it is that gives you joy, think about it. You will find whatever it is that gives you joy. I guarantee you, if you think about it, you will find enough ways, enough mediums to get joy out of, as I just explained with my examples from my own life, right? Whatever it is that brings you joy, you will find lots of different ways to get that feeling. And if you can generate happiness at will without help, or without help from or approval of others, you will be resilient. You will be resilient in managing stressful situations. You will be a better man. You will be able to deal with all complexities of life much more better, because you have you have the ability to bring light into your life. So for example, think of facing a dark black glass wall. Every time you uh, make a crack in it, it becomes that much weak. And if you have enough number of cracks, the whole thing comes down in one instance. So that's my perspective on life. uh, Fireflies over bright lights. I hope you get something out of this. I hope you will remember this in times of stress for you. I hope you know that I'm always there to support you, to help you, even if it doesn't feel that way when I criticize you, or when I tell you something to do things in a way. Even if it doesn't feel, I'm always there for you, always. I love you. I hope you know how much I love you. I love you, Nana. I love you.